And it's been another week. As I'm sure many of you saw last week, I put up this video asking you to help nominate us for some Streamy Awards. And many of you went out and voted, and I appreciate all of your help, you guys. That's awesome. Since I've been thinking about Streamies, I've been thinking about how hard it is to not only get people interested in a web series, but just make a web series happen. So today I thought we would talk to another web series creator that I know. His name is Matt, and his show Arcana was brought to my attention a couple years ago. I thought we would just talk about kind of the complications of trying to make a web series. So now we're going to talk with Matt Hernandez out in Austin, Texas. You are a fellow web series creator yourself.
That's correct.
What are some of the downfalls of trying to make a web series?
Ooh. Well, there's so many. In my case, when I was in college, I decided it would be a great idea to do a web series along with everything else I was having to do. I guess for some other people, the situation wouldn't be much different if you have a full-time job. I am juggling classes, I'm juggling economics and all this stuff, homework. And at the same time, I'm the guy who's in charge of writing the show. I'm also the guy who's in charge of making the schedule, calling all the actors, working with them and their schedules, working with the crew, and then also cooking the food for everyone, securing the location. Like I'm wearing like 8 or 9 different hats.
Yeah, you're not just a writer. You're not just you're the producer. Were you directing as well?
I directed the first episode.
And you made a good choice in that you made the first episode actually look really good. The first couple episodes of Pops look awful. What were you shooting with, like a 60D?
It was a 60D.
Yeah, so you start out with like that 60D, like beautiful, like you're doing a lot of focus pulls, you're like weaving in and out. It looks intriguing. So the first episode, you set your series up really well.
Yeah. There was a lot of momentum going into it towards the beginning.
And then what happened?
You can see it. I think you've shown how you can do a web series without releasing it like week by week by week.
Yeah.
But there's that momentum. You got to keep the momentum going somehow. From the updates that you give weekly updates. That's the way of keeping the momentum going. I didn't have so much time, or so much, I should maybe just say, the mental faculty to keep that kind of weekly momentum going. So
yeah, it can be really bad.
Yeah, we filmed the first episode and we get it out a month later. And I'm thinking, oh, that's great. All the episodes are going to be like a month. It's just going to be like month to month to month. Well, I think the last episode was probably like a year and a half after the first episode. So there's that loss of like momentum towards the beginning as school gets crazier, as my crew members start getting more homework. Some of them have to drop out.
Always adjusting crew is definitely a factor. For episode 8, we had less crew consistency than ever before because I scheduled more days because I was tired of working until like 1 a.m., 3 a.m. some nights, I wanted shoot days to wrap at like 11. So like more days meant people not being able to make it to all the shoot days.
Okay.
Several volunteer people coming out for like a day or a day or two, and like then the regular crew members shuffling back in. It is a never-ending nightmare of schedule problems.
There are some days where I woke up and I was like, why am I doing this? I don't even know what this is fun anymore.
Production is the hardest, always.
Yeah, if you can find someone to do all that work for you, find that person.
That's the problem, though, is that we all want that person who's going to come and do it for us. But the real lesson of web series creation is no one's going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
People will help you do stuff, but you have to be the one pushing everything forward, always.
Yeah.
If you were going to give somebody who is starting a web series the biggest piece of advice, what is that one piece of advice?
I'd have to go with, you're probably better off filming everything and then releasing later in one big push. Because some group will like what you have to say. It may not be the numbers that you want, but some collective group will like what you're going to put out there. And if you can make them happy by keeping them regularly hooked, that's a pretty good setup. If you can do that big release, that big next week, come back, we're going to have another episode for you, you're set up for something pretty rewarding.
And I think my biggest piece of advice would be something that came out just in our natural conversation, which is no one's going to do anything for you. So be ready to do it all.
Yeah.
Accept help. But just be ready for that help to disappear at any moment, and you to be there to catch it and keep running with it.
Yep. I was the boom pole operator for many episodes.
We have set the boom pole, taped it to a broom, and stuck it in the corner, and just kind of positioned ourselves near it. So my final question for you in this update is: have you ever been to Fantastic Fest?
Once.
Was it everything that I want it to be?
And I spent the entire day at the theater from like 10 o'clock in the morning till about 2 a.m. the next day. Just seeing one crazy thing after another. Probably the most fun I've had at a theater in a long time. I had Alamo Drafthouse food for every meal that day.
Oh, wow.
And the food there is amazing. I highly recommend it.
Well, if I come out to Austin, can I crash with you?
Yes, I say that. I know. I say that as somebody who has had 2 groups of people crash at my place 2 weeks in a row this month.
Austin's the place to be, bro.
Come on down. So just brace yourself. If it's something that you're going to think about getting into, just brace yourself, because it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of heartaches. But it can be worth it. There's that joy of seeing the finished product. Otherwise, why would we keep doing it? Last week's question was about the Project Greenlight entry, and many people said that that scene could stand on its own. A lot of people made good cases for why we should make a standalone short. Kept trying to think of ideas. My first idea was too like SNL sketch comedy-ish, kind of Mr. Bean-ish actually. My second idea was a little too schmaltzy, and the location was going to be really hard to come by. This morning I woke up and I had an idea. I was like, oh, I went and I wrote it out. It was 4 script pages. It's very visual. I'm waiting to see what Craig thinks of it, if it stands on its own and if it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Liz seems like she's up for it. If we're a go, we're just going to try and shoot that this week. That's the Pops logo. Thank you so much for voting for us for the Streamies if you did, and I will see you next week.